We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Is it supposed to be a bull market? I thought it was supposed to be a bull market, but it's a bull market where the market just can't rally. Now, I know we got a solar eclipse coming up, and that's going to keep the current trend in place until we can get some sort of shift at the end of the month. But supposedly there are all these buyers of stocks. And I also believe that everybody worried about this whole tariff thing is crazy. Crazy. Who cares? Nobody cared in 2017. The AI trade in many ways is upon us. Like, have you seen the Chinese robot doing advanced breakdancing moves, gymnastics, and kung fu? It's here. It's happening. There is a massive investment opportunity. As one guy said, which I have in the PowerPoint, it's a once-in-a-lifetime trade, and we're not doing it. We're not doing it anywhere. We're not doing it in Bitcoin, which is trading at the cost of production, and we'll go into that. AI was up this morning for 3 hours before they smacked it again. I don't know if that's hedge funds getting out at quarter end, but we're going to unpack all this, right? It's bulls versus bears. It's people who want to buy at 80-something versus people who think it's going to 66. There's a lot of Michael Saylor hate out there. I'll report, you decide. And then we're taking our charts down to the 60-minute time frame to hope we can find some sort of pinpoint low around the eclipse. Or we'll get a warning about a breakdown that we just don't want. So let's welcome who's here, particularly our YouTube members. Bull Runner, welcoming Eagle King. Hello, sir. Search Agent, Bob Marsh, Randall, welcome. Welcome. Zepetis is here. DC Precise, GF, Donato, the great Santini. Welcome. Digital Bobby, Daniel J. It's crushing it. James Bond, still here. Legend, the DJ with the green button emoji. For $4.99, you can get yourself an emoji and support the channel. Stephen Wilhelm is also here. Okay, now, the YouTube member area, we have set up for the AI trade, right? If the AI thing happens, we have Gian here, a special member for 6 months. He's got the notorious king emoji. Welcome, the king. The AI trade is going to happen. It's going to happen. And the next time it happens in crypto, it is not going to be just Fartcoin. It is going to be for real. So we already have a list of 50, cut down to a list of 15, cut down to groups of 5 by hedge fund managers. Patreon has the group of 15 with coaching podcasts, pep talks, you name it. That's what's in the middle tier offering. And of course, you want to check out LuxAlgo because I don't know any other way to find the bottom of this market with a chart program that's that affordable. And there's the Bill Noble indicator. So you can find 5-wave bottoms. They're probably everywhere. And I believe Michael Saylor will be bringing the Orange Man with him to the Bitcoin conference in May. They're not looking at the tape and they're increasing prices. So you may want to take a look at that. I also understand there might be an antivirus event at the conference or in Vegas during the same time period. You definitely want to take advantage and look at the antivirus website because one day talking McAfee will turn into video McAfee, which will turn into holographic McAfee. And I know he's going to have a lot to say about the world that will be quotable in the press. That is going to happen. In the meantime, the YouTube member area, all kinds of different ways to trade AI from antivirus all the way up to Tau and grass. All right. Now, Philip thanking me and Toby and Eagle King for the alpha. Yes. Duilo says, hit the like button or better yet, turn on the notification bell so you know when we're going live. Okay. Now let's get into some news and charts. I know y'all like the combo, so we'll do the combo. Now, I don't know what happened to the market this morning, but this could be it, right? U.S. Treasury could default as soon as August. So they got to borrow $9 trillion and the Treasury's out of money. So what are they going to do about this? Well, I know what they're going to do about this. They're going to issue, which is why they're just trying to lay off everybody to try to make a show for the bond market, just like companies make a show in the equity market that they're trying to do something to control costs. So somebody buys the bonds. Okay. Somebody, right? That's why they smashed eggs. That's why they smashed orange juice. That's why they're smashing everything, right? They're smashing everything that they can, scaring everybody into investing in America, trying to get as much revenue and low cost as possible. Okay. Dr. Evil, $1 trillion of selling. We'll go over sentiment in the equity market when we're done with this, and you can make a decision for yourself as to what the heck people are doing with the bearish sentiment. Okay, so the left-wing opposition in the United States is being run out of town, and you have to ask yourself, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? They're just embarrassing themselves. Now, the answer to that question is they're setting up to pitch socialism, possibly even universal basic income, to large numbers of unemployed people. Because between what they're doing with the government and what could have AI, I don't want this show to be like all doom and gloom because then everyone tunes out. Simple fact of the matter is the left wing is trying to take advantage of the whole combo trade of $37 trillion in debt, plus whatever's going to happen with AI. I mean, wait till you see I got the chart in the PowerPoint, got from my friend Andy. Wait until you see total corporate AI utilization rate. Like, what number do you think that's at right now? I'm just going to tell you, stick around for the PowerPoint, right? Unrealized losses in banks worsened. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to look at this, right? Some guys are saying accounting and NVIDIA and Microsoft are wrong. It's all bogus. Other guys are saying big banks like JP Morgan have got losses that have that have not been disclosed. So there's lots of theories out there. I frankly don't see any of that coming out. Any of it. Because if it ever did, things would come unglued. So what's the alternative? Well, if we know there's phony baloney out there, and we do, there is phony baloney, but if no one's going to actually say it, the only way to vent the problem in the system is to have currencies change in value or to have simply crypto go up, right? If we can't figure out what's wrong in the system and we can't take the stocks down or the companies down or even the government bonds down, it's got to get done with the currency. And if they can't have dollar go lower versus fiat, which I don't know, they actually can do, right? It's got to be Bitcoin higher, particularly with Bitcoin trading at the cost of production right at 80K. So banks have problems. Now, further indications of whatever's going on with the left. Everybody wanted renewable energy. Everybody was against oil. Everybody hated it. Let's have everything electric. And then electricity prices exploded, right? Denmark, they're paying unbelievable prices. Ireland, UK, Germany, they're just destroying people with the prices of basic goods because we all had to go green. And, that whole narrative has pretty much been debunked. So again, what narrative are you falling for today? First, it was electricity and green and whatever they were selling you, climate stuff. Okay. So what else are they selling you? Privacy, your social media app is okay. What other BS are we eating up? They say there's no case. There's no case for crypto. Like memes stopped going up, everyone's out. I say memes stopped going up, everyone get in and get ready for all that stuff to take off again. You know what I'm saying? I'm seriously. I mean, what else can there be to do, especially when you see the PowerPoint, right? Durable goods orders surged, but the increase is due to inflation. In other words, it looks like there's higher sales. Looks like there's more dollars being spent, but it's just more dollars on the same stuff. again, it's debatable. You know, really, the situation with the economy has to do with employment. Okay, so countries are like, they want no part of the orange man. They're like, you know what? I don't want the orange man giving me the stink eye, so I'm going to do something to try to make sure we don't get wrecked, because he will wreck you, right? And I think there's a whole bunch of people out there that are going to try to jump in front of him on Bitcoin, and that was part of my theory from the beginning, that they don't need to do the strategic Bitcoin reserve. They need to get everyone else doing it. They need to get everyone else doing it before they do it, right? They need to get everybody holding the bag, and then they need to pump it, except for the fact that the Russians and the Chinese are going to jump in too. So again, it goes back to this Bitcoin conference in May. I mean, can we really afford to not do something at that conference, or have something released, rolled out, and effective and happening at that conference? I don't know. Not financial analysis, but anybody want to interpret this? So, yeah. So if you're Congress since 2020, this is a plot of how congressional traders are doing versus the S&P. I mean, just in case you think that there's a whole bunch of integrity. I like how, oh my God, crypto, you know, everyone's, you know, cheating and all the bad guys. Meanwhile, Congress just outperforms the S&P. Nancy Pelosi should take over for Cathie Wood. Nancy Pelosi buys low and sells to Cathie Wood. Look at Congress. Look at this thing, right? It's just vertical. It's even with the Magnificent Seven. Congress beat the Magnificent Seven. Nobody beat the Magnificent Seven. That's why it's the Magnificent Seven, because everybody had to own it. And hopefully one day, you know, Bitcoin and at least two other cryptos fall, and this, instead of Congress, it is crypto. All we can hope. Okay. Gamestop, we'll talk about it as much as we can. Treasury Department set to just like indiscriminate. I have absolutely no idea. Like, no one is talking about what happens if you have 150,000 people going at the same time. With what packages, I don't even know, right? These people were, normally they had jobs for life. They're not doing career development. You know, they didn't go get master's degrees. And even if they did, where are they going? Like, maybe Treasury and Fed people can find a home, maybe, unless their job's been taken over by AI. So it's crazy banana pants what's going on here. And again, this dude is making an argument to do some kind of AI trade in crypto. In other words, if you're not invested in crypto, AI, robotics, Tesla, whatever, right? Like, there's tons of AI stuff to do in crypto, including antivirus, right? And no one is doing it. Are we going to pretend that $750 an hour law firms are going to be doing business as usual in the AI age? No. You know, he sent something to his attorney. The attorney billed him $2,000, and the attorney 2 days later said it looked good. I already had sent the contract, and it was signed by the client. You can do all this. Mike Novogratz has already talked about being online with, you know, these things as lawyers. Like, he doesn't have to ask lawyers. He just sits there and listens to these chatbots. Freaky, right? What can you do about it? Well, you can sit around and be negative. You can go listen to AOC and Bernie talking about, you know, revolution or whatever they're talking about. Or you can get hedged and get invested now. While you have a job, while you have money, while everything is basically okay, get involved. No one is thinking of it that way. No one thinks of it. And again, there's a guy in PowerPoint who's talking about it, but not exactly in that way. He's calling it, or at least he's quoting somebody who's calling it the trade of a lifetime. So, you know, this is cough, cold, and whatever. You know, this is layoffs. You know, this is 2008. This is the dot-com crash. I mean, it's already there, right? These are the announcements. right? And what the private sector may do is to, and I think it's already happening, is the private sector is using the fact that these sovereign headlines are taking the spotlight, that corporations may just start doing this while no one's looking. I think it's happening already, right? I mean, like, for example, what happens if they shut down FEMA, places like that, right? Closing whole apartments, right? Rates have to go lower in this environment. Now, if rates don't go lower in this environment, that's fine. Then an adjustment's going to have to be made somewhere. Somewhere in this, an adjustment has to be made in capital markets. Some people think it's stocks lower. Some people think it's rates lower. I just think everyone takes one look at all of this, particularly since this and this are tied together, right? Like, they don't have enough cash. Like, these are almost like emergency layoffs. $1 trillion asset manager T. Rowe Price says 80,000 is a really good time to buy. Okay, so let's just fireside chat this for a second. So back in 2018, the cost of producing a Bitcoin was roughly $6,000. Then what happened? Large miners got a hold of new servers that brought their cost of production down to like 3,000. Meanwhile, smaller miners that could not afford the upgrades went out of business. They crashed, right? They're making Bitcoin. It's costing them $6,000 to make, Bitcoin. It could be worth $4,500. So as soon as Bitcoin dipped below 6K, Bitcoin crashed because miners had to sell their Bitcoin and shut down, right? So when you put pressure on the cost of production, that's a very serious level that, frankly, I think miners and everybody involved are going to defend. Because if you have Bitcoin trading below the cost of production, you have distress amongst miners. And that could trigger, like I said, in 2018, you can trigger an absolute cascade. Because if, again, people and miners are like, oh my God, we may not be able to survive. We better sell everything we have now. It could be this like snowball effect, because that's what happened in 2018, right? Bitcoin went from like 6K to 3K. And like, I don't even think it took 8 weeks. It was just gone. Then you had like, all kinds of winter for months. Why would Bitcoin fall below the cost of production again? Why? You have MicroStrategy on the bid. You have GameStop on the bid. You have sovereigns on the bid, and you're going to have U.S. states on the bid. And you're going to have all kinds of corporations, because I can't be the only person who knows there's all this weird pressure in the system. And I don't know if people can figure out, is it stocks? Is it bonds? Like, how does the pressure get released? Like, where is the way to make money from the pressure in the system? My choice is Bitcoin and crypto, mainly because it's like completely destroyed. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to take Truth Terminal coins down another 90%? What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Now, right now, the market just can't rally because no one's interested. And you have probably the negative effects from the eclipse, being the downtrend continues until the end of the month. And then perhaps you wake up at the beginning of next month and you're like, Meanwhile, who knows? Hedge funds could be puking it out. I don't know. I don't know why the bears seem to have an advantage over the bulls right now. But, the cost of production in Bitcoin is a massive support point. Okay, so GameStop has bought Bitcoin. What GameStop buys isn't going to impact Bitcoin, but they have the $3 billion in cash on hand because, they were essentially coerced into selling stock into the Roaring Kitty rallies because someone out there is short a literally uncoverable amount of GameStop stock. Now, knowing that, if they have nothing else to do with the Bitcoin and they buy Bitcoin and maybe they turn some of their storefronts, as we've discussed, Maybe it's a logical trade. I don't know that it affects the price of Bitcoin, but it can definitely drive GameStop stock higher, especially if Bitcoin starts moving. So whoever is short that stock, man, they need to buy levered Bitcoin as a hedge. Forget about what GameStop needs to do. Whoever short GameStop needs to hedge by getting long Bitcoin levered. That way, if GameStop goes insane on the upside again, they're protected. Okay, so Michael Saylor, a super controversial figure, right? Doing this super long interview, right? And, one of the things about Michael Saylor that's really interesting is that there's a huge amount of people in legacy that simply and plainly hate his guts, right? So let's take an example of some MicroStrategy hate. MicroStrategy owns 500,000 Bitcoin, and if he blows up, it's the biggest risk for the system. So if Michael Saylor blew up, that would be way worse than FTX, I think, and that would be the end of crypto. That's not unreasonable. Okay, but his company doesn't generate any cash. It doesn't, right? It borrows money and buys Bitcoin. So there's no consulting business. There's no revenue. There's no cash flow. So how's he buying more Bitcoin? Well, he's buying it with other people's money. And then he owes 10%. These things like Strife and Stark, these preferred stock offerings. Yeah, they have dividends. He has to pay people interest in order to get, people to buy them. So he's offering 10% and 8%. And now in his mind, that's a joke because Bitcoin on an annual basis is going to go up way more than 10% or 8%. But this guy's like, well, if you don't know where the yield's coming from, you're the yield. You know that saying? So he's like, well, what happens if Bitcoin falls below the cost of production? Blah, 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 blah. No exit, right? There's no yield, no exit, just sell. End of world, end of Michael Saylor. Everybody wants to become the next Tudor Jones. Everybody wants to catch the big blow up. There's the NVIDIA blow up. There's the JP Morgan blow up. There's the MicroStrategy blow up. Sometimes I feel like people are just addicted to negativity, right? And things like the Big Short are hard to see. Like Goldman saw the Big Short in 2005. The Big Short guy saw the Big Short way before it happened and had to sit there and wait and maybe almost got pushed out of the trade because he just had it on too early. Now, every hedge fund and their brother is short MicroStrategy. And somebody is taking the other side and going, hey, wait a minute. Maybe this thing can go up way higher than anybody thinks. There's no limit to how high MicroStrategy can go because MicroStrategy is capital inversion. It's where fiat's entropy is alchematized into Bitcoin's crystallized tempo. Every Satoshi on its ledger is okay. So you get it. The guy's talking in riddles. Everyone in Legacy hates it. Everyone in Legacy bearish stocks. We'll go over that in the PowerPoint. They're all underestimating what Michael Saylor can do. Again, there's just 2-hour interview. Embracing new platforms. Thermodynamics in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's stability mechanisms. Tax policy and industry growth. Bitcoin's role in capital preservation. This guy must be exhausted. He's on the tape, bull posting it every single day with real research. This is why I think he's got to bring Uncle Sugar with him. You need to see Trump and Michael Saylor on a stage at the same time. Right? Or just have Michael Saylor at a cabinet meeting looking at everybody going, listen, we need to do this. Elon's in charge of reducing costs. Now, how are we going to increase revenue? That's Michael Saylor. That's Bitcoin. That's the sovereign wealth fund. And everybody knows it. The prime minister of Pakistan wants $3 billion in Bitcoin. Right? And no one's going to want it at 80. Don't make any bones about it. No one wants it at 80. No one wants to touch it. They want to make an announcement at 80 and then they'll buy it at 107. Right? MicroStrategy is strategic. GME is nasty. The people who want GameStop to go up are like anarchists that want to get the hedge funds. You know how the hedge funds want to get MicroStrategy or get NVIDIA or get JP Morgan? Yeah, the GameStop crowd wants to get the hedge funds. McAfee was a big fan of anarchy. Now, GameStop could be a great squeeze, or you can bet on a day where John McAfee gets on CNBC as a holographic guy back from the dead. But that's just me. Because I know I want to do the AI trade. I want to do the obvious trade that everyone's ignoring. That's what I want to do. Gamestop. Okay, COTI Mainnet now online. Dollar inflation is global taxation. The $6 trillion printed since 2020 was spread out across just 330 million Americans rather than 8 billion plus globally. You go from printing 1K per head to almost 20K per head, and purchasing power would drop accordingly. Now, if you didn't understand that, all the printed money went to benefit the capital class. Nobody printed and handed money out so you didn't have to have 25% debt on a credit card. Nobody did that. And Bernie and AOC are going to be out there selling that. And eventually someone's going to want to buy into it. Not now. Right? Do sovereigns have your interest at heart? You get off this stream. You look at the market. I get off this stream. I go to the market. I look at the market and I go, I can't believe they just did a GameStop announcement and Bitcoin can't take out 88K. Like the market is almost in some ways immune to all this bullish Bitcoin bull posting. So you have to ask yourself, which is the title of the stream, are we in a bear market? Is this a bear market? Or, because it doesn't go up on good news, or is the good news the AI trade, which is not reflected in crypto? In other words, all the negative, scary things in the world, like robots, Skynet, government austerity, whatever, sovereigns and big tech basically hating you and wanting you to eat bugs. What is the solution to that? I have to remind myself every day. And I go to the YouTube premium stream. I'm on it. Obviously, I'm a co-host. When I go to the YouTube member stream, not only do I get picks and portfolios and not necessarily advice, but get the things I need to get. You want to scan the QR code. You want to check the link down below, because otherwise, you know what you're going to do? You're going to talk yourself out of the game. Don't talk yourself out of the game. Can't. Crypto Chronic is here from Illinois, along with Richard, Barry, and T-Bone. Okay. Blockchain Summit, the stablecoin bill. Boy, people are in love with stablecoins, aren't they? Boy, isn't it funny how everybody wants a stablecoin to buy treasuries once this happens, right? Amazing. Congress be like, oh, get that stablecoin bill through. Get us a bid for treasuries. Because, yeah, we like the orange man and all that, but we're not giving up our sugar. Now, you can cut everyone else's costs, just not mine. Okay. Better find a bid for the treasuries. Okay, so Mike and the guy from GameStop. Mike needs a lot more friends. We'll start with the guy from GameStop, right? MicroStrategy, treasury operations. 3,000 in Bitcoin, 3,000 Bitcoin at an average price of 87K. That's a good price. It's buying Bitcoin at the cost of production. I hate this. I'm supposed to hate it because this is how he gets attention. Otherwise, how would he? Right? Yeah. So I love what GameStop's doing, and it probably means it's no good. Right? But, the anarchists behind GameStop, I hope they get attention. I hope they get a lot of attention, because that can bring attention to the McAfee coin. And, it's about time we started pushing the anarchy button, because I think everyone's wearing a red hat and buying into what's going on. And clearly what's going on now is better than what was going on last administration, clearly. But is it good enough? And even though they say they care about you, and they probably do to a certain extent, what can they do about it? Like, who's got more power to help you, them or you? Bernie and AOC are running around saying, well, we'll help you. We want to help you. We'll give you a handout, or we'll give you something, which is going to sound really appealing. Because I'm not saying it's not going to get scary. What I am saying is, what are you going to do about it? Like, are you going to sit there and watch it happen? You're going to sit there and watch robot science fiction movies and go, well, I guess that's it for me. What are you going to do? Like, everybody has bailed out of crypto at the moment where everybody should be like actually locked in, trying to find the stuff that they could take advantage of, that when this once in a lifetime thing happens on the PowerPoint, again, you will be there. Social media mentions for DPIN coins, Render, Bit Sensor, right? Toby's talked about Arweave. We have 15 coins that we think, if AI kicks off, that can benefit. New, hot. Let's look at it this way. Ironically, the coin that they liked the least for the AI trade was Bitcoin. That's just our computer model that we set up right in the YouTube member area. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the next alt season will only be AI coins? And Toby has said this, and again, we have the coins in the YouTube member area. What if there is no designation as an AI coin? Either you have AI, you're Bitcoin, you have AI, or you're done. You're not a coin. You're a non-coin. You're irrelevant. So maybe you have security tokens, DeFi, and AI. If you're not one of those things, or I think all of those things are probably going to need to have AI. You have AI, or it's not a coin. Everyone's like, oh, there's like 90 million coins issued. Do they have AI? Oh, the universe is so big. There's too much money. There's not enough weight, and nobody can figure it out. Really? Are you sure about that? Lunar Crush figured it out. We figured it out in the YouTube member area. Combination of Toby and Grok. What? It's like all the reasons to not invest in crypto are wrong, right? The only reason to not invest in crypto is psychological. You look at the price action. You're like, it sucks. I'm scared. I've lost. I can't do it. That's why I stay on the air. Everyone else is off the air. I'm on the air. Look at this. So the book comes out and busted for, I don't know, emailing a judge or saying stuff on X. Sometimes I can't believe X let him say that stuff to a law enforcement figure. Anyway, he's now looking at 3 years. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, he was marketing the McAfee narrative. That was nice of him. Okay. But I remember in 2021, like one of the things I remember about 2021 was that this guy, in effect, was crypto. He was crypto, right? He like moved the market. And anybody listening to him got fired up about it. Seriously. He was great at it. So someone took him down. It could have been his own fault. I don't know. But it seems an odd coincidence that crypto sucks and, Mr. Crypto is about to vanish into the void of some terrible mistakes. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the institutions just continue to want to eat up crypto. Now, the good news is the stablecoin world is not a formal CBDC. But I'm just telling you right now, you're going to want to get these stable coins and dump them for something in crypto like right away. And that's probably part of the idea. And I'm sure stable coins eventually will be involved in universal basic income, which is the other reason why everybody is racing for stable coins, right? Make a stable coin, make as much money as Tether, by the government, by the treasuries, getting good with the government, whatever, then general public and the institutions take the stable coins, dump them, and buy treasuries. So the more government debt you can issue, the more stable coins you can print. The more stable coins you can print, the higher this thing goes when it gets rolling. So you can have governments buying it, you have corporations buying it, and then they're going to print stable coins. And the Fed's going to push M2 on top of that. So it's like 2017 all over again, except 3 times the size, right? The Tether thing, they kind of did quietly. They made a whole bunch of Tether and just used it to ramp Bitcoin. This is much bigger than that, way bigger than that. But, you know, Bitcoin to cost production. No one was interested in Bitcoin at 6K back in 2018. It went to 3K. No one was interested. I wrote a stupid article that was going to 1,500. And then 2 days later, like some bear with like icicles all over him was like, oh, crypto winter, it's all over. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's turn the whole thing around. Let's turn the whole thing around. Right now, again, we got to listen to it. We got to take the pain. Okay. Orange Man declassifying files of all the people who were out to get him. Right? How the tariffs dragged Bitcoin below 80K. The tariffs didn't drag Bitcoin below 80K, right? The disappointment trade that everybody thought, you know, the government was going to moon their bags, and then that didn't happen, and then stocks fell out of bed. And stocks fell out of bed because they were overvalued. Tariffs are 11% of GDP. Everyone freaked out, lost their mind, and then I think like the AI robotics trade in crypto, that people have taken their eye completely off the ball. We'll go over that in the PowerPoint. Okay. Q1, everything is going to be in the red, right? Ethereum devs, you know, the case for Ethereum is later, right? When layer 2s have to pay their fair share and then somebody builds something on Ethereum. I just cannot believe that the world is not going to change because of AI. And all you need, like the AI singularity is not Skynet introducing himself in Times Square, like in a science fiction movie. The AI singularity is when something comes out in a particular industry like finance, where everybody goes, you know what? We absolutely must have this and it's better than people, or it just helps people in general. Like imagine instead of having to figure crypto out, right? You could use AI. Like I just did it for the YouTube member area. You know, instead of having a staff of people like I used to, you know, that the company I used to work for, I had 5 guys looking at projects. You know, guys with a quota, like guys used to have to review a certain number of projects per day. All these guys were exhausted. I sit down with Grog, man, Grog, here are the parameters. Take a look at this. Okay, now switch it. Look at market cap. Okay, now don't penalize companies for low market cap. Look at the slow market cap. I mean, it's that simple. You know, there was a huge research staff at that company. Not huge, but I mean, for, you know, 20% of the people were either in AI, quant, or research. More than that. It was like 1/3. Now me and Toby can do it ourselves. Someone's going to build it, and it could be on ETH. Massive Bitcoin whale buys $200 million in Bitcoin. Mt. Gox transfers $1 billion for the third move. Mt. Gox is always moving Bitcoin around. Okay. Mt. Gox moves Bitcoin, and some sovereign or Michael Saylor is going to take it all from them. They're not going to sell that at the market. SEC acting chair votes against going after Elon Musk for buying Twitter. Thank God somebody is finally not after this guy. Yes, he has his own agenda for March, but I don't think he deserves whatever's happening to him, especially if it's coming from the private sector. Like if government workers were protesting, I'd be like, okay, well, I understand that. You know, I get that. But who exactly is protesting against him? I don't know. And who's paying them? And do they have your interest at heart? Just because they're not in power now doesn't mean they might not be in power later. And even if they're not in power, it doesn't mean they don't have influence. They have influence, which is why privacy, sovereignty, you know, getting on this AI trade, Ripple getting their money back, right? All right. So if we go to TA, right? Okay. So what we're trying to do here, like we've been reduced to 60-minute charts. That's what we've been reduced to. So there was a 13 bottom in Ripple. I'm sorry, XRP. And then XRP pukes down to support at the bottom of this range at 238. So there's so much excitement in crypto that we're showing a range between 238 and 246 for XRP. Okay. Tesla. So Tesla comes off the bottom, makes a 13 top, and now it comes off. But you have to remember, when you look at this on a weekly basis, everybody got short this stock. Everybody sold it. Everyone hated on it. You know, this may be a little overdone short term. You do not want to see a failed rally after a 9 bottom. So, you know, any grotesque failed rally would be really bad. But what happens if robot market cap is worth 10 trillion? Right? Like AI and robotics. Everyone is assuming it's only NVIDIA. Like, I don't hear anything about that trade. Nothing. It's like me on the crypto side, and there's another guy I used to work with who's talking about robotics. Again, we'll go through it in the PowerPoint. Right? You know, Solana, a puke to support at 139. So Solana can't rally. This could be a head and shoulders. I don't know. Right? That's conceivable. Every time you see these obvious patterns, AI picks up on them and they don't work. But, you know, obviously Solana can't rally and they can't wait to sell it. So what are you going to do until that changes? My guess is that changes after the eclipse. That's a guess, right? The current trend is your quote friend until the end of the quarter. Still think that what's going on here on a bigger picture basis is some kind of rounding bottom in Solana. And assuming Solana will not be involved in the AI trade. Again, all this talk at the beginning of the year. Oh my God, AI agents. Oh my God, Toby made an AI. He sent it to me a Telegram. I haven't even had time to look at it. Toby sending me an AI agent that she programmed to sound like either me or her. So it's a talking agent. The Eagle King is sending me the ChatGPT thing to revolutionize thumbnails. So, you know, somebody can, you know, the AI can draw me as something other than a guy in a suit. I mean, it's so fast. You got to take a day off from work just to get on the right side of it. Right? Just get on the right side of it. I mean, look at this. the Eagle King is going crazy. It's like, and no one wants to do this trade. That's Goldman Sachs bill, pre-crypto. You know what I'm saying? Eagle, that's 2 days out. 2 days out. And Eagle King is all over it. Toby's all over it. Everybody's all over it. But of course, this is not going to get traded anywhere. No. Decentralized computer powering. Like, they're already saying that they don't have enough data. They're going to have to start telling the AI what to do, which is really scary. There isn't enough data in the world to train baby Skynet. I mean, does that not, you know, there's no decentralized data marketplace. There's no data on chain that, you know, AI can use. There's no use case for that, right? Got to be kidding me. You absolutely got to be kidding me. Again, covered it in the YouTube member area. And this, we're not just covering it. We're like, hey, do this. Not investment advice. Do this. Like, I'm not going to ask where everybody is. Everyone's wrecked. What I'm asking is, why does no one want to get in on the obvious? $750 an hour law firms, done. Done. And that money is going in someone's pocket, right? Or the $750 an hour lawyers got to hedge somehow. You can buy NVIDIA. You can buy Tesla. Tesla, down as much as it is. I mean, if Tesla becomes a robotics company, like, where is the robotics trade? I don't even know where the robotics trade is in crypto. I have to get on AI and say, hey, you know, find the robotics trades inside crypto. Okay, so GameStop was up 13% earlier this morning. Again, GameStop is really about anarchy and about blowing a hole in the system. This is just fine with me, right? It's like everybody's looking for the blow up It'd be funny if it was GameStop. And it'd be funny if they used Bitcoin to do it. That would be even funnier. Hedge funds have rarely been this short ever. Ever. The AI and robotics trade is at hand, but they can't sell and they can't get short enough. And they dragged us down with it. Okay. So stocks are overvalued. Yeah, we kind of knew that. Yeah, it was euphoric last year. So, okay. So they unwound it. Everyone gets bearish. Fine. Then, right, somebody sends me this that said, my friend D. So according to a chief market strategist, I don't know, large players have to buy about $135 billion worth of stock at the end of the month, the end of the quarter. Never seen a mechanical bid for stock. So stocks go down. People who use portfolios go, okay, we'll sell what's up and we'll buy what's down. What's down? S&P. Okay, let's buy a bunch of S&P. It's mechanical. So all the mechanical guys long 100 billion, all the hedge fund dinwits short. Short MicroStrategy, short S&P, and then in they come. And that's the market update. If everyone's doing the same thing, it's wrong. If everybody expects the same thing, something else happens. Look at this. Oh, my God. So, Andy, again. Share of U.S. firms using AI by sector. So, obviously, information technology, they're at 12%. They're going to go to 25% soon. Okay, that makes sense, right? Professional, scientific, technical, they're all adopting AI. So, okay, all industries, where is it right now? It's like 6 or 7%. 6-7%. 7% of all industries are leveraging AI. Now, what is going to happen when agents proliferate massively? And how do you get long that? That's all. How do you get long it? Well, I don't know. The crypto answer is start with Fartcoin. Okay. Start with Fartcoin. If that's the only thing you understand, do Fartcoin. But what about Fartcoin and Tesla? What about Fartcoin? What about Tau? What about the AI coins or the AI plays we have in the YouTube member area? We have like a top 5 pick, along with other trades that could also benefit. There's also AI and DeFi everywhere. Not everywhere, but there's like 4 or 5 coins that do that. Where the hell is everybody? 7% is using AI? Really? Wow. Okay, so from Jordy Visser, a guy I used to work with. I used to work with a lot of smart people, let me tell you. A lot of smart people. This is from something he recently put on Substack. And that notification that just came through by the Eagle King, you want to turn on the notification bell. Anybody who doesn't have the notification bell turned on, please turn on the notification bell. It helps the channel. Okay. Chris Camillo from the book Unknown Market Wizards said in a podcast recently, occasionally there's one that comes around once in a lifetime, and this is it for me. This is the biggest trade of my life, and it's the robot trade. It's, the fancy way to say robots or humanoids. It's embodied AI. It's the embodiment of artificial intelligence. It's Jensen Huang, I think I think that's NVIDIA, right? Every company will be a robotics company. In sum, we are entering a new era of AI, one where the intelligence is not abstract, but real, tangible, and increasingly autonomous. And 7% of corporations are using this. That only has to go up 93%. The opportunities are immense, but all of this comes at a time when we are distracted on what the tariff rates will be on April 2nd. It's time to focus on the robots. What the hell are we doing? Like me and Toby, we're going to sit down and say, okay, Grok, what do we got? Robots, AI. Like, how can we do it over and over and over and over again? Right? Like, how can we just pound it out? And even inside the YouTube member area, we've actually been pounding this for 4 days. Okay? 4 days. Because we know, just like 2017, this is M2. Forget the Fed funds rate. That's a distraction. M2 is rising just like 2017. And I don't even need to tell you at this point what year, even though I just look at her, I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, this is like 2017 all over again. Now, 2017 had a really hot summer, and I don't know if we're going to have that. But we got Bitcoin Vegas in May, and the Fed's printing. The Fed's printing. And again, we've been talking about this over and over and over and over again. You know, we got 100 people. We got 100 VIP members. And I want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of them, right? And that number is going to 10x by the time this is all said and done. Like, you know, low is in 12 days ago. The low is in. You know, will AI make crypto the only money we use? Discover the next big crypto trade. I even put some of the symbols on the thumbnail. Like, we're all sitting around going, well, you know, I don't have an, I don't know if I could do, you know, whatever it is we offer. That's 1/3 of what everyone else offers. And it's right there on the PowerPoint. I mean, it's like, you don't like, these are some of the biggest thought leaders in the business. Right. And then, you know, we have like a couple different roadmaps, right? This is kind of like a GAN-based thing with like, you know, there's like the section of space called Aries, full moon, eclipse, Venus, all kinds of GAN stuff. You input this into Grok, you get, you know, 95 in May. Toby thinks that's conservative, but, you know, you get a blow off top to 175 by this time next year. So you could double your money in Bitcoin on a conservative plan. We got other Grok roadmaps that are not this conservative. We got other Grok roadmaps that are like, you know, that have like 120. It's like 120 in May. Like, you know, everyone thinks Bitcoin's going to 60. What happens if Bitcoin doubles? But of course, today is a sell everything day, right? Mainly because I guess they're selling equities, right? So on an 89-minute chart of stocks, you know, it gets to a LuxAlgo line, but it only gets to equilibrium and then they slam it. And I don't exactly know what this is about, sharing screen. And this goes back to what the thumbnail is about. Like, are we in a bear market? Are we? I don't think anybody wants to talk about it. But the point is, stocks go up and then they sell. Right? You know, crypto mining stocks down 5-8%. Maybe this is about filling a gap for when everybody got euphoric the other day. You know, Bitcoin, 89-minute chart. You know, it gets to a premium zone. I mean, it's really, this is like come down to like, you know what? I think this is all tactical time frames. I think the only guys that have something to talk about are the tactical guys, even though if you look at a daily or weekly basis, the market is trying to hammer out a bottom. But, you know, guys will probably tell you it's probably like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's this. You know, 88 is premium. 86 is equilibrium. Right? This was a, you know, this was a triangle that it broke out of at the apex on the 89-minute chart. So boom, it gets hit. Meanwhile, you know, go to the AI list. You know, you put up all this thought leader stuff. And then, you know, you go to a list, you know, like Tau down 2%. Some of this stuff is up today, like Jasmine is up. Maybe some of this stuff is down 1%. I don't see how you're not looking at it. I don't see how you're not looking at it. Right? Because everyone's distracted. Everyone's distracted by tariffs. Everyone's distracted by the Fed. everybody is distracted by, is it a recession or is it not a recession? Like, let's all sit around and be economists. Meanwhile, like, you know, ChatGPT is coming out with something, like Toby's using it for something, like a special project that we have that we think can change the game for our group. She says it's just radical, right? She had to like explain it to the machine, explain it. And then all of a sudden they do this new release and everyone gets it. Boom. The machine gets it. So now our productivity, you know, just our productivity in unhinged crypto just went up 40% overnight. U.S. stocks fall as orange man auto tariffs. You gotta be kidding me. The guys that have to buy 100 billion at the end of the quarter, they're like drooling. Please, let's do the tariff trade. Like I was on a podcast with, I mean, like this was so big in people's heads that like the whole tariff thing was like, you know, we devoted like an hour to the show. This is just a distraction. Tariffs are a distraction from this, or tariffs are a byproduct that they have to get revenue in to deal with this. And this, just as a reminder, like new form of money, like I don't know how this gets traded. Like Ray Dalio's like, wow, you know, this is how countries go bankrupt. No, dude, this is how Bitcoin goes up. This is how Bitcoin goes up. And then everybody is looking, everyone's like, well, altcoins are dead, or, you know, there's never going to be another alt season, or it's a bear market, or it's winter, or whatever. Right? Someone's asking about GOAT. Let's look at it. I'll tell you what. I like McAfee's podcast, but I do like Truth Terminal's tweets. It's pretty good. You know? Okay, so the LuxAlgo 5-wave indicator on a daily, on like an 89-minute chart. So, you know, again, this is what we've all been reduced to. Tactical trading, right? Buy it on a discount zone, ride the 5-wave up, get out. That's what there is. Guys like that are probably making a fortune in this market. But meanwhile, I don't know. GOAT is so low. I guess I'd have to go to GOAT on like a decentralized exchange. But like all these things, they just went to zero, right? I mean, it was, and somebody predicted this. I remember hearing that, you know, we're going to have AI agent winter, which is basically what we have, right? We have AI agent winter right now. There's no doubt about that. I just don't understand why nobody thinks that can end. I mean, this is so unbelievable. You can't even chart it, because if I'm looking at this, GOAT went all the way back down to where it started. Now, of course, that's GOAT, right? Because that maybe was just a meme. FART is considered funnier. Okay. 500 million. It had its pop. That was like the leading T-Bone stacking AI. So let's see who's here. YouTube members coming in. Havoc, T-Bone, welcome. Right? The Hot Mess Express is here from Arizona. Right? Huckleberry Native says it will take the Orange Man time to accomplish massive goals. Right? Hopefully he does it in time to get the gains for the year. Joe, Sideways Poo. Joe, BitBoy. Crazy. Right? Eagle King pointing out that Fartboy is on the move. Now, if you're wondering, if perhaps you're wondering why the market cannot go up, this is probably why. Because this is the focus, right? Like everybody wants this stuff. And even if it's memes, I don't even think it's the right memes. An AI meme should have something that could walk around and talk like McAfee. Okay. That's me. Okay. PEAQ. I have to go to TradingView for this. See, with all of this stuff, you know, the emphasis is it's just trying to make bottom. It's trying to do whatever it can. And when it comes to stuff like this, I just continue to believe that everyone is out. Everyone is out, right? Because of this. Look at this. Now, what hasn't happened yet is with some of this money flow stuff, people are not coming back in yet, even in a stealth, quiet way, which, you know, okay, maybe that takes time. You know, maybe that takes a week. You know, I don't know, but obviously every time crypto goes up, it just turns around and goes back down because of some distraction. So, all right, that's it for today. I definitely appreciate everybody. Please check out the YouTube member area and hit the notification bell and the like button on the way out. We will see you tomorrow.